Yeah, that ain't going nowhere.
Just gotta throw your headphones
So
on.
here's some headphones right here.
Yeah,
Mine's a little loud, Trait.
he ain't going nowhere.
No.
Is that good? Chris? And if you need more line, you just
that humble pie is hard to swallow.
Yeah, there you go. Won't let them go. They're gonna wait for that thing to sink, and then when it sinks, they'll bail and blame it on MLF.
Sure.
Got it.
I got it.
If you need more line, you just feed it through there so it's out of your way.
Yeah, you're fine.
So
Can you hear okay?
Nope. Turn it up.
Tell me when. Can you hear?
It's not working.
You're not hearing
at all.
Yeah.
What is this wire back here for?
That's to you, and then that
okay.
goes to here.
1, 2, 3. Got it?
Yeah, turn it down.
Okay.
Turn it down.
Good enough. Good.
Down.
Good now.
Yeah, we're good right there.
That's
I first put them on. I'm like, holy.
That's a good little one hitter clip for when we post this thing. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Matt, I appreciate you coming out, man. This is you've seen the kind of the making of the mobile podcast, Battle podcast, and I remember when you walked in a couple weeks ago, you're like, dude, this is a Taj Mahal of RVing, and we're new to it. So Trait just sent it. She's just like, all right, if we're gonna get one, let's get one. And you've been doing the RV thing for like years and years and years, haven't you?
Since 07.
07.
Yeah.
Dang.
This will be what?
And you and Candy
15.
both. You travel with Candy.
Well, Candy just started traveling with me about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, she worked a full-time job. She said one of us had to stay home make a living.
Yeah. So you do the over the truck camper,
Right.
and I know you run Battle batteries in your boat. Do you also are you rigged out in your over the truck camper as well?
I am.
Nice.
I am.
Very cool.
I got lithium. I got solar panels on top of the truck.
Very cool.
Truck camper. Yeah, it's made a huge difference. And our deal, even like with yours. Weight's a big issue.
Yes.
And so I know when I pack, and probably when you pack. Every time we go out on the road, I try to come down to essentials. If we're going, the biggest pain for us is when we go fish a smallmouth tournament and a largemouth tournament back to back.
Yes.
It's awesome when we just fish smallmouth or just fish largemouth because when you're traveling and you're towing everything, weight's a big issue. So, yeah, and going to the lithium batteries, going to Battleborn, they're awesome, man.
Because before we were lugging around 4 different AGM batteries, and then plus whatever you have in your camper. And,
and we carry spare lithiums, the Battleborns. It's awesome, and I don't care what kind of batteries you got. It's inevitable. It's just electronic piece of equipment. Electronics, when they get beat around, they break.
Yep.
Right.
And so the ability to carry a 20-pound extra battery.
Sure.
Don't take up no space. Think about carrying around a Group 31 AGM. It's 100 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. 70-something pounds.
Yeah, they're massive. They're heavy. Plus they'll spill. Acid all over everything, and it's just it's awesome. It cuts down on weight, and weight equals fuel mileage.
Sure.
And now the price of diesel fuel, towing all this stuff, every pound we can save is awesome.
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and I think like this day. It's 2022, and there's so many different lithium battery manufacturers nowadays. I'm just glad that you and I and maybe a dozen other guys on the Elite Series are with a company that that kind of started it, introduced the whole lithium thing to the fishing industry. If they weren't first, they were definitely second. And they're definitely.
Well, they were actually the first ones to come, as far as I know. They were the first ones that showed up with a Group 31 or a Group 24 style.
Yep.
There was other companies that had 36-volt batteries and things of that nature, but they were the first one to come with individual cells.
Yep.
I never went to a lithium because I didn't want to run a 36-volt battery, because if you lost it, you lost the whole system.
Done. And the special charging that's required for that.
Right. So even up till now, with Minn Kota, we're going forward. We got the lithium battery charger, the Minn Kota 460L.
Mm-hmm.
And even before that, I don't even have the L this year.
Yeah,
I'm running the K. Just a straight
PC 460K. Yeah, that's what I got.
Just a straight AGM lead acid style charger, and I'm still running it. Just set it on AGM style, and it charges them off. Every now and then, I'll go in there with a Battleborn lithium charger and top them off when I'm at home, and bring them back up that last 10%. But my God, you know, the hours we fish, you're like me. I see your hours. We're out here daylight to dark every day, and some of the hours, you know, these 14 to 16 hour days, if you're really standing on the trolling motor, it would take 2 days on a conventional charger to bring AGMs back up.
Yep.
And most of the time, I can come in, eat supper, take a shower, go back out, check, and they're back up. And that to me, that's the beauty, the weight and the beauty of the AGM. I mean, the lithium battery is the return time on charge.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's one of the issues before we did the RV thing, is we would stay at hotels and getting your batteries charged with everyone else, also trying to get theirs. Before we had lithiums, it was a nightmare. And then we got lithiums, and we'd be laughing because an hour in, we could go in and.
How about the move when you like get back late, because we like putting in late hours? You know, the move of, you know, taking some other guy's plug out and plugging yours in, or having that happen to you. Where it happens a lot.
It happens a lot, or be on there with somebody that's got one of those big war bank chargers.
Sucking everything.
It pops it every time.
It pops it every time. Plus, it sucks every bit of voltage out of the whole system, and you're on line with him. And, you know, the nights of laying there wondering, my God, are my batteries going to be charged? Are they going to charge? Are they going to charge? And being up, you know, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, make sure that they're charging.
Yep.
I don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, because we return them back so fast that the price, the no headaches, the weight, I mean, they are well worth the investment. Plus, they come with a 10-year warranty.
Yeah, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. What's crazy is, like, every time I sell my boat at the end of the year, like, if a guy happens to have an issue, it's like he calls 800 number or whatever, and boom, they get a replacement right there. 10 years, boom, done.
Right.
Now that's out of the way, Matt. So
we paid the bills.
Yeah, there we go. Now that's out of the way. So thanks for coming out, and man, you're just like 3 or 4 campsites down, and we've been hanging out with you all week.
But we've actually been trying to get you. We haven't reached out to you, but you were like, when we wrote down a list of people we wanted, you were like second, first, like right there, because we knew, like, most people might not know this, but we know you don't BS.
Yep.
Like, if we want to talk about something, like, we know how you feel.
Right.
Whether it's against something we feel or for it, you're still gonna say, this is how I feel, and take it or leave it. And having a conversation, especially on a podcast with someone like that, goes so much further than talking to someone where you're just like, all right, we're getting nowhere.
Matt Herren, you are probably the wisest bass fisherman I've ever associated with, and we know we share many sponsors, and we're around each other all the time. Every time you open your mouth, it is like on point. Absolutely, that is how it is, because you've been around since when?
You know, everybody's saying, you know, I'll be 60 years old next year, January,
and you're still daylight to dusk too.
Yeah. You know, but I didn't start full time until I was 38.
Wow.
I stayed home and worked a full time job, and I was fishing tons. I was probably fishing 50 plus tournaments a year at home on the weekends, but I raised 2 kids, married, and
38, really?
Yeah.
FLW tour?
Yep. Showed up in 2003.
Holy, and just started taking money too.
Yeah, started taking money. But, you know, I was also, you know, I had the years under my belt, and I'd fished a lot of, you know.
At home?
Yeah, a lot of them. You know, a lot of people don't know it. I have a federation race. You know, the first time that I ever tried to make a Bassmaster Classic was through the Federation.
Wow.
I hate to do this, but I got to keep it kind of close to your face.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, you know, they had the Federation there in 99 or 2000. I got a very good friend at home that they actually formed a paper club, and it was for strictly nothing but trying to qualify for nationals or whatever. We had we met the requirements. We had our yearly meeting, and we had 2 or 3 get-together tournaments where, you know, we'd go fish against each other. We kept it on the up and up, but it was strictly for making state teams and things of that nature.
And you're still holding a daytime job.
Yeah.
And what you did? You did something with your hands. I know you did something with your hands.
I did.
Were you a carpenter or something?
No,
you're really handy.
my dad owned a big body shop.
Yeah, you're handy. You're super handy when it comes to fixing stuff and wiring your boat, like whether it's batteries or running, you know, cables, your Solixes, Helixes, everything is nice and neat, zip tied like perfectly. I did a little electrician's work myself, and I noticed.
Well, I was actually, you know, there's a qualification school for mechanics and body shop, whatever it's called, ASE, American Standard.
Yep.
You know, I was ASE certified in electrical and air conditioning, and anything but the internal guts of a motor, I was I was certified in.
Wow.
And that's what I always done. And I thought, you know, I went to college for 2 years, and that wasn't me, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never even could decide on a major. I was just taking all the English and the math and getting all my requirements in and hating every minute of it. And, you know, my dad owned this big business, and I thought, you know, I got enough common sense. I got my college, you know, a little bit of college here. I'm just going to go and do what I was doing. And,
Nice.
I went to work for him, and that industry kind of started going away. Whenever you're working for insurance companies,
Right.
and this is coming from the shop side of it. What turned me against being an automotive repair and collision repair was my dad's philosophy is always, I didn't care about the insurance company, I worked for the customer.
Right.
And I wanted to put your vehicle back exactly like it was or better when you brought it to me.
Right.
And when you got insurance companies coming in and you're telling you got to use aftermarket parts,
Undercutting you from China.
Used,
right?
Or used
or
parts.
or what, you know, just cutting labor prices, wanting you to cut corners. And I'm like, Dad, you know, I don't want to be this guy. And it was tough times. The worst thing you'll ever have to do is walk in. You know, I was fishing tournaments with my father too. Walk in and hand him the keys to his business and tell him this ain't my dream.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
38 years old. I mean, I thought Candy was going to leave me. I thought he was going to disown me. I'm like,
oh my gosh, that's brutal. At 38, yeah.
And I got a 17-year-old son and a 13-year-old son.
Josh
is 17 then at that time, and I done pretty much got him raised. He was doing his thing. He's chasing girls and fishing and whatever.
Yeah.
And Jacob, I'd coached him all through Pee Wee ball. I'd been there, and he got to where he was going to middle school, playing school ball, and doing his thing. So it was kind of like we had a sit-down group family deal. And I'm like, look, I got this opportunity. I'm gonna take it. And everybody was in all agreement. But I'm telling you, for 2 or 3 years, it was rough go.
What, the first couple? Yeah. And this was FLW.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the money part of it wasn't a rough go. I mean, I was financially secure there. Yeah. But you go from being a home dad every day to raising your kids, to all of a sudden, you know, you're not there.
Yeah.
And it, you know,
especially if your kid was 13 at the time.
Yeah, and my wife went from having a husband that was home every night to gone.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Yeah.
And she thinks, it was funny now, she thinks that I was living the life of Riley, you know. I was out running with the boys.
Yeah, like some of these dudes around here this week in college town.
I'm partying all night and off. Because it was funny, the very first FLW tournament I fished, I stayed over by Harney Pond Canal in a dump house. There was like 6 of us.
Florida, sure.
Yeah, and on Okeechobee. And we didn't have cell phone service worth of crap back then. And I was staying, there was one little payphone over there by one of them gas stations at the Harney Pond Canal. And if you've ever been out at night in December or January in Okeechobee, the mosquitoes, you think they're bad here? If you went to get on the cell phone and that little glowing light on the phone booth,
just attracts them.
Yeah, most kids don't even know what a phone booth is.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Put the quarter in, call. Yeah, you know.
Don't dial the wrong number.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there trying to talk to Candy, and I'm like, I got to go. I got to go. And she's like, you can't talk to me. I said, no, they're eating me alive. I got to
go. That's awesome.
And now, you know, she travels with me, and, you know, she's like, you know, this ain't no play here. This is like work. And I'm like, yes, ma'am.
So you did the FLW thing for a few years and then eventually went over to Bass. During your time at FLW, did you ever have a team deal? FLW team deal?
I never did.
You never did?
No, I was going to.
Do you like that model? Do you like that business model?
No.
Don't like it?
No, not at all. It's great.
I go back and forth on that. Sometimes I'm like, man, Bass needs to bring on these big sponsors and like trickle them down to the anglers. They don't last? Or I mean,
no, because it's you say that. But yet, Bass is going to be more.
Who do they choose?
Well, and then ain't just that. They're going to promote the sponsor.
Right.
That's what my rub at FLW was.
Right.
You know, is you know, when BP at one time was a major sponsor coming on board, and they I was going to get a BP deal. And I talked to Aaron Hall and Charlie Evans.
Oh yeah.
We had it all worked out. Thought I was going to do it, but I never would commit. And at the time, a guy named Steve Smith was my pro staff boss, he had been at Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had gone to Ranger. And I concocted a plan because my rub with that BP deal was I was going to fish Bass Opens, I was fishing Everstarts, I was fishing tons of stuff. And plus I was fishing the FLW.
And you were killing it too. I remember watching. You were in their jerseys all the time.
Right. Well, yeah, I was, because I had to on TV
Yeah,
days.
of course. Yeah.
But I proposed a deal to him. I called Steve Smith up at Ranger and I said, look, I said, FLW's telling me that if I fish, to take a BP deal, I have to fish out of this BP boat all year long and wear a BP jersey. And I'm like, that ain't cool. Because all they're wanting to do is pay, all those deals most of them consist of, is them guys will get their entry fees paid for 6 tournaments or 7 tournaments. It may be a tow vehicle to use. And that's pretty much it. And it sounded like a good deal, but at the time, that wasn't about, what is it, $24,000 worth of entry fees.
And then you're
Sure.
tapped out on your logo space.
Right, and you can't go anywhere, and you're generating all this exposure, and it's all going to this one sponsor.
Yep.
But yet, and you closes all doors.
And
so
zero relationship with BP. Zero.
Yeah, the biggest blessing that happened to me, I was 04. Because what happened to me in 04 was Jareth Bain was actually working for a guy named David Simmons.
Okay.
David was the pro staff boss for Yamaha. Well, there was a 2-year window where Skeeter was an associate sponsor of FLW.
Wow.
And in that time, Jareth knew I was going back and forth because I was trying to talk to Yamaha as well. And he told me, he said, look, he said, let me talk to Skeeter. He said, I think we can work out something to where, you will be very happy.
Yeah.
Smartest decision ever made.
Nice.
And
Still with them.
I've been here 18 years.
Wow.
Did Yamaha and Skeeter at that point?
Yes. Yep. I was running, for years I ran ZX225s, then we run I-classes, and we run FXR, FXs, now FXRs. Yeah, so I've been, and then what's really funny, I ran a Yamaha outboard, promotional discounted Yamaha outboard since 1996.
Gosh.
My original pro staff boss was Dale Barnes, who just retired.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That's
And then Ittner's fixing to retire here next year.
Yeah, I don't
Dude,
know
that's
exactly
a long time.
I don't know how long David's been here. I can't remember. I'd have to ask him. But he come over. I think he had a background with pure fishing when he come on board or something. But David's been in the industry for
Forever.
years and years. Yeah. And
he was at Lawrence. When I met him, I think he was at Lawrence, and then he went Yamaha.
I see a lot of these young kids now and kind of go off a different way, but a couple of them are out of my home state, and I've had major discussions with them. I've stuck my neck out for a couple of them who I think are tremendous fishermen, because when you break our industry down, it's very small.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll take electronics for instance.
Yep.
You got 3 options.
Yep.
And you'll have highs and lows with all these companies. And I've been with Humminbird when all we had was the 787. I got on. I think it was 05 when I met Tim Price. He took the job with Johnson Outdoors. And then everybody thought I was an idiot because at that time, there was different stuff. And I'm like, no, I've always had Humminbird Super 60s and Flashers and whatever. And they were Eufaula, Alabama. So I got on with that deal. And then all of a sudden I was looking like a genius because now we got the 987 side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, and then we've been ahead of the curve forever, and it's just super people. Their home office is right here in Racine, Wisconsin. But what I was going to say about these kids is they get frustrated, and they want to pop off about this, that, or the other. And I'm like, very small industry, and all these companies.
Careful.
They all go to dinner with each other.
Yep.
Okay, because at the end of the day, we're all basically on the same team. We're all in the same industry. And I'm like, if you want to make a change, that's okay. But you need to make that change in the proper way.
Yeah,
right.
gracefully. Sure.
Yeah. Southern redneck language. My dad always taught me as a kid, be real careful about stepping on the toes that's connected to butt that you might have to kiss tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And
That's a good one.
You know what's crazy too is how many people they work for one company right now, but they're going to end up working for that other electronics company, in 5 years or wherever, or a bait company that you're trying to get with. Like it's like all the workers in the industry just rotate companies.
Yeah, but I guarantee you, Chris has been at these dinners, and I've been at these dinners where you're sitting down and, I ran Bass Cats back in the 90s. Yeah. I know Rick Pierce personally.
Right.
And that relationship's still strong. I could probably pick up the phone tomorrow and work with Bass Cat again because I did it in the right way. I know. That's good. I know everybody in the industry I've known, but I've always been very respectful and very appreciative of how you got things and how you do it. And if you want to go a different route, you cannot respect a guy who thinks they can better themselves.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. If a guy thinks he can do it, but when that respect ends, when you do it the wrong way.
Sure.
Yep.
And that's just.
There's a lot of that goes on in our industry, and in this day and age, everyone's trying to be front and center. It's always been like that. But we had Clun on last week, and I asked him this. How old is Josh and Jacob? Is it?
Yeah, Jacob's 33, and I think Josh is 38.
So if they dropped
85 and 89,
and I know they're hard at work within the industry, but if they came up to you and said, "Dad, man, I just want to hop in that Elite Series and I want to get after this and do it," what do you say?
It ain't easy.
It ain't okay, so it's not a no, but it ain't easy.
Clun said no.
Yeah, Clun said absolutely not. It's brutal, man.
I don't know
it's
how
brutal right now. How are these rookies, second year guys, third year guys doing it at with inflation the way it is, gas prices? What are we paying entry fees?
They're working jobs at home as soon as they leave here. They got mamas and daddies or somebody believes in them bankroll them.
Have to be.
Yeah, because you're looking at an $80,000 a year investment.
And since the split between MLF and Bass, like sponsorships for a lot are not easy to come by. They weren't back then, and I feel like it's gotten even worse for some people, or a lot of people in the industry.
Well, there's a lot of that. And what's happened? Basically, we took one dominant league that with most of the advertising dollars were spent in, and we fractured.
Yep.
And now
you think directly in half, or just fractured?
We fractured it, and it went all over the place.
All over the place, right? Because you got heavy hitters over here, a couple guys stay now.
Right. And the other deal, what all the guys that are looking to come into the sport need to understand is at the end of the day, the company the industry still feeds itself. Mm-hmm. We're all professional fishing needs professional fishing, but the rest of the world doesn't.
No.
Right.
The rest of the world doesn't care whether professional fishing exists.
Yeah.
But we feed each other, okay? And we sell boats, they build boats.
Yep.
We sell electronics, they build electronics. But when you get outside of that circle, my question is, how long is the industry going to be able to sustain the growth and basically provide at the level that they need to continue to provide for guys to stay out here and do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
we had an angler meeting the other night. And when they sent the text and said, "Okay, angler meeting 7:00 at this location," I replied back to the anonymous text. I was like, "All right, should I bring a helmet?" And another buddy of mine's like, "Bring a helmet and a gun," because it went down. It went down. There was a lot of not to get.
It's still the same, but
but let me ask you, Matt. Okay, so remember 2019 when the split happened? Everyone was lovey-dovey. Matt, oh man, you're awesome. You're cool. Oh, rookie, welcome to the Elite Series. We're a team. Let's move forward. Let's do this as a team. And we are 3 or 4 years later, and it's like
we're back where we started.
We're right back where we started. Why? How? How does that happen?
Because every league has a base of anglers that they're drawing from. Mm-hmm. And you and I are replaceable.
Sure.
If we walk away tomorrow or whatever, there's 2 more guys waiting to take our place.
Hot and heavy, sure.
Yeah, and so I surmise is this: we're all just rats on the wheel. As long as we can turn the wheel, and keep the wheel going, then we're necessary. But the second you and I can't turn the wheel, they're going to throw us out and find somebody that can.
Right.
And that's a competitive sport.
Sure.
And that's just how it's going to happen. But our sport, the biggest conversation I've had about our sport with individuals that control bass, you know where I'm going, is the difference in you and I is through years of work and, meeting people. We create a value for your name, and we're not like other sports. True, we need to perform and we need to stay relevant and whatever, but look at Rick Clump. That brand in those years, he's going to sell product 50 years after he's gone. Okay? So while you got to stay relevant and you got to perform, you also got to look at anglers that have been there, done that, at a different light. And it's like you earn them stripes, and it's a fine line. It ain't like, Major League Baseball player, I'll use him for example. You get a rookie comes in, his first year contract, he's going to make $4 or $5 million. All right? He don't hit but 125, he's going back to minor leagues. That's fine. He still got $3 or $4 million.
In the bank, yep.
Guy shows up for the Elite Series, he stays 1 or 2 years, he's out of here.
In debt.
And he is in debt in his rear.
100K.
100K or more.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a different kind of gig.
Yeah, it is.
And it's, I see a lot of these, one of the kids that I've been around a little bit this year that I think truly gets it is Cody Huff. He, and I'm seeing a lot of these younger anglers coming in like Cody, Jay Shakur, or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Shakur, yeah.
It seems like he's well groomed and well positioned to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Those kids get it, but there's 1,000 more. It's like the perfect storm. You got to have the money backing. You got to have the ability. You got to have everything happen at the right time.
Candy wants to know how it's going.
Yeah, she probably does. No, it's Dano. He was a Dano to call in the middle of the podcast.
He's staying right there.
I'm waiting on him to knock on the door.
Yeah, he did the other day. He had some rescue tape for me.
And I think he's probably wanting me to come over there and do my blog for bass.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, we won't.
Yeah, there's no.
Oh, shit.
Come on.
Sorry about that. And now you got to drink it. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
We got turf.
Yeah.
I spilled my drink and it wasn't mine. It's Chris' phone.
Yeah. That means you got to drink it now.
So my question is, do you think like tournament fishing, it's hit its peak and that it's going to eventually fade off?
I don't think it's going to fade off. And I'm not sure we've seen the peak. The only problem that I see is mistakes that organizations made before us. In other words, look at the major sponsors that were brought into this sport,
And that we burned.
Yeah, we closed the door on.
Yeah, and they'll never give us another chance.
Because they weren't handled correctly.
Yeah, that's my biggest worry about what happened with the split is any of these big companies that are getting burned.
Well, it ain't just that. I'll use FLW for instance. Of anybody that probably hurt this sport more than any was FLW. Because through their association with Walmart, they done a bunch of companies wrong.
All the Procter and Gamble brands. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
They were well connected, but what happened? Yeah.
Look at National Guard.
Yep.
But on this side, you had Citgo.
Yep.
You had Advance.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And I'm hoping that through this split and through these new these new owners or whatever, that they learn from these lessons, and then when we get a partner, they build some, that they deliver on the investment, because that's what we need to do.
You think it's the salesman? You think it's like the salesmen at the organizations need to sell better, or us as anglers, we do what we do. We're the show ponies. We do what we do.
It's the deliverables, though. It's especially in today's world with content based.
Well, you look at Toyota. Toyota's position unbelievable because at least, like with Toyota can invest in bass, and they can touch real numbers of sales that fishermen buy trucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So their investment into fishing is huge, and they can actually see and touch the real numbers.
Right.
Where a lot of these sponsors, they invest, but yet they don't see the full benefit of it because those numbers aren't real and touch. They can't.
How do you track it?
Sure.
How do you track it?
Sure. Advanced Auto Parts. How many guys went in and bought an alternator for their 2004 Chevy?
Right. Or how much fuel was bought because
right.
You don't know. So it's
Sitco, right.
I think for our sport to ever grow, we need basically like lakes built for purely tournament fishing.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Where we can start attracting spectators.
Yeah.
Almost like
NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Golf cars, NASCAR, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a golfer, you know how that's played.
If we could do that, it would go out the roof.
Right.
But I don't know. I still think
I think we're in the echelon. We're in that kind of. We're bowling. It's like we're like bowlers.
Right.
I mean, right? We're not golfers. We're not NASCAR.
Bowlers, you could go watch that and be more involved as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Not that I want to watch bowling, but
but we got it with the growth of the sport. That we're touching the people because look at the growth in college and high school.
Yeah,
and look at the increased sales because of college and high school and just tournament fishing in general.
And the core buyer too. That's one thing I learned over the last few years is how much tournament anglers and core buyers actually drive sales. Just when the split did happen, that was the conversation.
The tournament people.
Yeah. Like the true tackle sales and
sure.
things of that nature were coming from the core people, and I don't think enough people were giving that thought.
Hardcore tournament anglers, sure.
Yeah. No, I love this sport and I love what we do, and I think that what we do sells a lot of product.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, we sell a lot of product because at the end of the day, every time you have a Marshall in your boat, or I have a Marshall in my boat, or every time I'm at the gas station, or every time we're at one of these RV parks, there's countless people that come up to us and have specific questions about product, about whatever it is, about fishing, about the growth, getting my kids involved, or it could be elderly folks there, that don't have all of the up-to-date electronics. Man, do I really need this? And it's a never-ending deal. I mean, no matter where I go, when I climb out of that truck or whether I crawl in a boat, 24/7, you are, I am, we all are. We're all driving and selling product, and we're all promotion. I mean, we're full-time. I'm a 24/7 promoter.
Yep.
Because, and the other thing is, I was telling, Candy and I were talking last night. I like the no info rules that we have, but the thing that I miss about it, I went and eat dinner with a gentleman when we were here in 18. I met a guy. I flew up here. He let me borrow his boat. He picked me up at the airport, and we've been friends since 18. And I miss that part of it.
Sure.
The friendships and the relationships. That's the cool part about our sport.
Absolutely.
So, but on the competitive side of it, I like it's mano y mano. That's kind of dangerous.
It's kind of it's weird. I had a conversation with a guy this week, being the last tournament of the year, and he made the comment and said, we're in a information world with no information rules. So what do you do? It's like right now our current rules state that you can't use, photos posted on Instagram, photos posted on the website, to use, and have the intent.
You can look at it all you want to,
but you can't. Every single angler lays down at night, scrolls through his phone on Instagram and sees Chris Johnson smoking a big one on a frog on lily pads and duckweed. Right. And it's like, how do you not go out the next day and try to catch you a 4 or 5 pounder on that? And is that intent? It's just so weird right now. It is.
Up here, every one of us had a frog title.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, the only thing to me that you could gain from looking at Chris Johnson in photos is aware.
Yeah. Landmarks.
Landmarks.
And it happens all year.
Oh yeah, you'll have guys show up.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a cat show up on something I was fishing this week
because of landmarks, right?
Yeah, that and it was kind of after the day one. I think word kind of got out.
Yeah. You smoked them. Yeah, you caught them.
It was they Skyped me and it was obvious where I was sitting, kind of what I was doing.
Oh yeah,
and there was a few guys sniffing around.
And I think it all goes back to, and someone brought this up, and when we had a little get together the other night, when $50,000 in entry fees and X amount of money invested is on the line. I mean, guys really do get desperate. I mean, and like they'll do just about anything to make that $10,000 check, or to do well, or make the classic, or whatever it is. I'm not saying there's a lot of cheating per se, but there's a lot.
I'll say it. There is.
They're gonna walk that gray. They're gonna walk the gray.
They're driving that boat in the gray. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when we fish competitively for money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it's NASCAR, whether it's golf, whatever it is.
Those NASCAR guys get popped all the time, every week. By the way. Yeah.
But the whole deal is when you're in competition for money.
Yeah.
Everybody is just inherent is going to try to gain an advantage.
Yeah. They're going to go right to that line.
They're going to go right to that line and try not to go over.
Yeah.
That's the part that everybody kind of needs to understand. But there's some situations we all know what happened that in the other league that should have been handled.
Yeah.
In a much different scenario.
Yeah.
I guess I've been living under a rock. I don't pay any attention to what goes around in the world. And after all this deal went down, I seen a video on Instagram because I don't spend that much time on social media.
Yeah.
And I seen a video of an incident with hooks and sides of fish.
Coming in sideways.
And I'm sitting there looking at a guy in this video with a black and white striped shirt on that is a marshal or is a referee or whatever you want to call him. And I will say this. I don't know who the guy is, don't know him personally, don't really care. But Bud, you need to go to an optometrist and get your eyes checked. Because I'm sitting there looking at it on TV and I'm like,
it was bad.
Bull crap.
Yeah, it was real bad.
I'm like, you either don't fish, you don't care, or your blind is a bat.
Yeah, it was real bad.
My favorite was the body block. You know, it was kind of place your body in front of the issue and the camera, and hopefully no one notices.
Dude,
but
there was a BASS tournament at Clear Lake that was one like that. You know that, right?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. On a big swim bait. So you know who it was.
Oh yeah.
Go back and watch the video. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
California, you have to hook them in the mouth.
Yeah,
during that time it was a stupid salmon run.
There was a couple of particular fish that were caught on an osprey that were unhooked before they come over the rub rail.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yep.
Now, why would you think they would? Why would you catch a fish, Chris, in a tournament, right?
Yep.
And run the risk of him flopping out of your hands?
Yep.
Beside the boat,
just to make it legal.
Yeah.
You were flipping up there in Rodman Slough that tournament. Man, I had that tournament on VHS. I was watching you guys. I'm telling you. Oh, man, I was in high school watching that tournament. Oh, Skeet Reese, you're a god. Oh, man. You were in that Santone.
Reverse.
You were in that Santone boat, man, flipping up there and Rodman Slough up there just whacking them.
that was fun.
Man, you guys were my idols back then, man. That's what got me going.
Thinking Bill Lowen sitting right there at the mouth of Rodman throwing a chatterbait and caught 25 pounds.
Back then, too.
5 minutes in every morning.
Yeah.
And, he would have won the tournament. But I think you'd have to ask him. I forgot how many over 5 pounds that he had to turn loose because he was nailing them
skin
on that
jaw or something.
Up under the jaw and stuff with the chatterbait. He was crawling that chatterbait in that grass
down below.
Okay. Yeah, and then they would hit it. And he would pop them under the chin or whatever. And he was like, I'd turn loose 3 or 4 5-pounders every day because they wasn't in the mouth. Yeah, that law is crazy. I'm glad Bass, we kind of addressed that deal. We didn't in California.
Yeah.
But like in jerkbait tournaments up in Michigan, New York, whatever.
I got caught in that. That was, I got caught in that deal.
When you won that AOI?
Yeah. I had like a 2-hour long interview with an ex-FBI agent.
Polygraph.
Yeah, polygrapher. Yeah, in Dallas. And I had an issue with a fish hooked outside of the mouth or whatever. And the way the rules are written, it's like I was throwing a jerkbait and I ended up winning the tournament. But I was throwing a jerkbait and like this thing was T-boned in his mouth. Like I'm fighting this thing and like the camera was showing. it digs down, and then it like the first 2 hooks come out of it, and it's just hooked in the cheek. So it digs down, and then the hooks come out. I'm like, dude, that thing was hooked. I'm thinking that in my head. I boat flip or whatever, and then like I get protested or whatever it was. So I had to go through this whole thing. But technically I was covered, but to the viewer or whoever else, it was like, oh, it was hooked outside the mouth. So again, it's gray area.
What do you think about the polygraph situation right now? Do you think there should be a lot more given?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. But I also think that the questions given need to be adjusted. Because
they're pretty vague.
I can give you a basic polygraph test, and you can pass with flying colors. But if I get real specific, because at our level, I can come up with 4 or 5 questions for guys at our level, they ain't gonna beat it.
What would one of them be?
Oh, well, like
information.
Huh?
They already ask about information, don't they?
Yeah, they ask general questions.
Yeah.
Like the off limits. Did you get information outside the off limits? Yeah. No, you can word that question up different, and I promise you ain't gonna get by it.
Wow.
Because the way you word those questions is there are ways to do it. You can't get them. I got a buddy of mine. I used to fish a lot. He's a buddy now. He's passed away, but he was an ex FBI guy. His name was Clyde Wolf, and he was a polygraph examiner for the FBI. And God knows how many polygraph tests I took from Clyde back in the day, fishing team tournaments
at Alabama.
Yeah, and I asked him before he passed away about some specific situations at the level that I'm at now, about anglers who I feel like aren't being polygraphed sufficiently. And he said that you give a guy fair warning, like in circumstances in these leagues where they got guys that they know are walking in that gray area. To me, you don't give a guy a heads up it's coming.
Ever.
Ever.
Blindside.
No prep time.
Yeah, because somebody, and I'm not saying, I don't want to accuse anybody. I'm just saying somebody in the real world, there are people that can take and pass a polygraph test. They can beat it. But most of them, like Clyde was telling me, most of them are people who basically are habitual liars anyway.
Yeah, fishermen.
They believe what they say.
What? And they can convince themselves that everything that they're doing is okay.
Yeah.
But the only way you ever get them is to blindside them. I was at the Chaffalaya Basin when I don't know if y'all remember the guy that FOW had so much trouble with, Tony Christian.
Oh yeah.
He was the next thing to God coming out of.
Yeah, Google that if you don't know.
Yeah. And I was there, and in some ways I was very upset at the way FOW handled that. But looking back on it now, I will applaud them for the way they handled it, because what it would have done to our sport, because this guy was doing things that were bad shady. But they actually hired, as far as I know, he was an ex-FBI guy. They put CIA guys on him and everything else. They had this fool believing that they put a camera boat on him to document his success. And little did he know, that guy was a full-time investigator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So whatever happened there?
He disappeared. And I think that his life had been put in jeopardy.
Mike Long did. He's
MIA. I mean, I don't know where he's at.
Yeah.
I mean, but did he not have any legal ramifications?
Well, what are you going to do to him?
Right.
I mean, I think FOW, it's a time. Would you look at it? What would you really, what he was doing? He was using a basket type deal.
Dang.
And if you tell the world, you think about, number one, think about all the people that finished second to this guy. But then you tell the world how to cheat and get away with it. What would that do to our sport? So the best thing was to crucify him and just make him go away.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they did, because otherwise you destroy the sport.
Sure.
I mean, this guy right here had gone to the extremes. I mean, I saw it before I ever knew who the guy was. A friend of mine in Alabama fished I want to say it was an Everstart. He won at Lake Martin. And he was telling me about this crazy story. He said he pulled up this creek, and I know the creek well. And at Lake Martin in the wintertime, these folks go out there and they stand crappie trees up. I mean, you know, Christmas trees. And they'll put little pieces of block foams on it, tie them up, and they'll basically they crappie fish around. Well, he said we pull up and there's like 3 or 4 floats there. And he said I can see the top of the cedar trees. And he says he pulls up there and he takes black and blue jig and he flips 5 times between 4 Christmas trees. And he says he catches 24 pounds. And he leaves. Just 5 flips. And you watch the videotape of him winning the BFL All-American in Mobile.
Is that around? I'm gonna look at that later.
Yeah, it was at Mobile. It was in Hurricane Creek. I fished it many times. And there's like floating camp houses in the middle of the creek. And he keeps going to one camp house, and he flips beside the camp house, gets a bite, and breaks his line. Flips back in there, catches the fish, and has got a line in his jig. And it's a big one in Mobile. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but something smells bad. This ain't right.
Wow.
And then what's fine when they finally got him, I was there. He was, what I was told, there's a place down there, there's a ramp on the Chaffalay River called Dyron's. The only dock on the whole.
Cliff Crochet's spot.
Yeah.
Dry Ron's.
Dry Ron's or something.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of walkout piers there. And he had fished all over the Delta that day in that FLW tournament, what the story was told. And he pulls up at the end of the day and he makes like 5 flips under one dock. Catches the limit, and his co-angler ain't got a fish, and he pulls up there, and his co-angler flips and then catches one. And they leave. But little did they know, at that time, from what I understood, the CIA guy or the FBI guy was following and watched it. And from what I was told, that's when they hung him, because they put a diver in on the dock.
They were caged up or whatever.
And figured out what was going on.
There were barriers or something.
The only thing I could testify is the fact, I was sitting in the parking lot. It was the trailer to weigh in. We pull up there. I pull up with my co-angler. He pulls up beside me with his co-angler. And there was 4 golf carts and a whole bunch of Louisiana sheriffs.
Dang.
Come to the boats. And the co-angler was told to bag his fish and go weigh it. And Tony was telling him he can't go weigh his fish without me. And tournament director at the time was Bill Taylor, and he pretty much told him, you need to be real quiet, and you need to get in the golf cart. And they went to he got in the golf cart with law enforcement. They went to the trailer. When it was all done, he come back, got his truck, and he was gone.
Wow.
So to this day, does anyone know who kind of clued in on what was going on?
I think they knew it was too good to be true. I mean, at that time, he was doing things that were just unheard of.
Sure.
Every time he'd fish a bass tournament, he got big fish. You look at the Savannah division of down in the Georgia Bulldog. I mean, and they were always like 7 or 8 pounds.
You have to be psychotic to keep that going.
Yeah.
Well, now you're making money like crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the negative part of our sport, but it's, overall we fish against some really, really good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do they push it? Yeah, we all push it.
Mm-hmm.
We push it as hard as you can push it.
Yep.
Sure.
That's how we make a living. And if you ain't pushing it, you're probably going to get your teeth kicked in.
I just have a lot of respect for you guys who've been around for, decades, and you've seen the ins and outs. You've seen the kind of evolving of the sport, and the whole social media thing. You've done a great job at evolving with that as well.
Well, I had to.
You have to. You have to.
I either had to
You're
or
done.
get fired.
You're done. You're absolutely done. And no, you've done an excellent job, and going back to like those first and second and third year guys, if you don't have just a bang out year and make checks here and there, 10,000 here, 10,000 at the next one, 10,000, dude, you're done. Like, it is so hard to just stay on top of all that and trying to create a name for yourself and try to build upon that. It's tough, man.
I'm gonna say there's probably 50 to 70% of our field that when they left lacrosse, went home back to work.
Yep. Last tournament of the year after what, eight tournaments I think we had this year?
9 tournaments.
9 tournaments.
Yeah. But you think about it, how many times does a guy get 9 checks out?
There's only one guy that did it, Brandon Lester. Only one guy.
This year?
Mm-hmm. They mentioned that today on live.
He got $9,000, $10,000 checks? All right.
Yep. Finished second in AOI.
But you get 9 checks. We got $45K in entry fees.
Yeah.
And easy. I'm talking about if you scrimp, it's probably $35K in expenses.
I was gonna say maybe 32 at the lowest.
But you're still looking at 80 grand.
You know.
And sounds real good because I've had multiple kids come up to me that are fishing trying to qualify through the Opens, and they're like, man, you know, if I can just get 4 or 5 checks, pay the entry fees, I can do this. I'm like, you live in the home with mom and daddy?
Yeah. That's how I did it.
Yeah, you got a truck payment, and they're like,
yep.
Because I'm like, son, all you did was pay for the year. If you got,
I
said, if you come out here,
responsibilities at home, you're done.
Yeah, I said, you come home and you come out here and you get 8 checks, right?
Yep.
You paid for your year. If you got a house payment, if you got insurance, you ain't paid for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All you did was support your habit here, and you ain't paid a bill at home.
It's crazy, and it's been like that for decades. Like, when is that going to change? When is that model going to change? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
It's no different than any other business.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
startup costs.
Well, it is, and the guys that are successful at working, you know, building partnerships and building their brand and have success on the water, then they'll survive.
Yeah.
And the others won't.
Yep.
And that's just life.
It ain't all fishing.
No, it ain't
not all fishing.
You can't make it if it wasn't for my partners, the people that back me.
Yep.
I couldn't make it. And
you could flip the hell out of a jig, but it only gets you so far. It only gets you that far and that much.
Yeah, but you know, I'm probably one of the few. I would like to see a list of folks that's been with sponsors longer than I have, because I've been with Skeeter. Like I said, I've been Yamaha 96, Skeeter 04, Johnson Outdoors 2005.
Yeah.
Kiss for Rods, I don't know, forever.
Long time.
So when the split happened and you have these relationships with your sponsors, what was that conversation like when the decisions were going on?
They didn't know either. Everybody was scared to death, and you know, I finally had a really good friend that's an attorney, because I kept telling him about the conversations. You know, like, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And when the split happened, they actually done me a favor. They pissed me off. So, because they went after guys with big, I guess they thought had the biggest social media numbers. And then I got a phone call right before the day before and said, hey, look, we're not, you're going to get an invite 2 or 3 days from now. Don't sweat it. Well, what little did they know, I talked to this friend of mine, and I said, look, my sponsors keep telling me you need to do what's best for you and your family. And this attorney buddy of mine says, you know what that is, right? I said, no. He said, that's legal terms for you need to do what's best for you, because when we figure it out, we're going to do what's best for us.
Yep,
Yeah, that's what we figured out. Yep.
That's what it meant.
Remember at the time, we're just like, oh, do what's best for your family. Do what's best.
Yeah.
Tharp and that whole group, all those guys. And you still keep in touch with a guy like that, don't you? Yeah.
Randall,
He
I'm
writes
still
on
good friends.
Yeah.
I'm
Despite
still,
the stuff we saw on TV at Norfolk.
that was just too hard.
That's all, yeah.
Trying to win a tournament.
Yeah, 2 flippers going at it. Yeah, that's awesome.
And somehow, the whole story of that deal is, I led day 1 at Lake Norfolk.
Yeah.
I caught my fish and got out of there. And there actually, the creek that we got into the dispute there's 2 arms in it.
Yep.
Somehow or another.
Y'all never saw each other.
We never saw each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, lo and behold, I forgot what happened. He might have been leading the deal when we got back to Norfolk, and I was in 3rd or 4th, whatever. And we crossed paths, and I just did what I've always done. I mean, I come in there, I see him. I didn't see him either.
Right.
I didn't run up to him all bent out of shape.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, well, whatever. And you're in the back of a creek, and they but like 1 or 2 bends there.
Yeah.
So I run up from where he was. I run to the next bend, and I start fishing.
Yeah.
He get mad.
We all
We
saw
watched.
it. We saw it. But that's good now because men really don't hold grudges like, let's say, women do. And like I said, I see him writing on your stuff all the time, and he's telling you good luck all the time and everything, even after the split in 2019.
When you've been doing this as long as I have,
He understands.
you are going to have
Yeah.
disagreements.
Yeah.
Okay, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
But communications can fix a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
How many times you thought you'd never speak to somebody the rest of your life and have one conversation and like it's okay.
Yeah. I deal with her all the time.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, or I didn't know that.
Right.
Generally goes a long
Fix
way.
it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and we got guys that I fish
Understanding.
against every day.
Yeah.
That we just had an incident that I spoke up about at that meeting.
Yeah.
And personally speaking, I got no problem with the guy.
Yeah.
But when you do things that affect the sport that I make my living at, I was told it wasn't my business. Oh, it becomes my business.
Sure. Yep.
When you do things that are detrimental to the way that I make a living and to the sport that I love, it becomes my business.
Sure.
And I let it be known.
Yep.
And I'm
standards.
sure
Standards.
Yeah.
All comes down to standards.
We're all individual promoters.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you got to promote Chris Zaldain and your brands, and you're going to promote the way that you see things. I'm going to do things the way I see things, and that's okay. And you can be different, and you can be individual.
Yeah.
And you could, God knows, look at Mike Iaconello.
Yeah.
Love him to death, but he does things different.
Sure.
But there's a line.
Yeah.
Don't cross
it. Yeah.
Don't cross it.
And again, it boils down to, this professional fishing thing, this whole industry. We're all on one train trying to go one direction. We're just on different cars. Each and every person is on different cars. Every sponsor's on different cars. But we're all at the same train going the same direction, and we need to maintain that direction. Otherwise, we're done.
Yeah, but if you can find a unique way to promote your brand.
Sure.
Because...
But not at my expense, though. Not at my expense. You do your thing, but don't make me look bad.
Yeah, but I mean, we're all judged off of impressions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How much exposure are you generating for me and my brand?
Right.
Because we're all, at the end of the day, we all got 15 or 20 bosses that we answer to.
Yeah.
And we all have a job to do, but yet, if you could find a niche, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to be careful.
Yeah. Yep. There's a line. There's definitely a line there.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know.
Professional angling.
I've never seen a group of anglers more unified about one subject than I was.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
I mean, I hadn't talked to anybody that agreed with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, outside of that house, I think that everyone felt the same way from all the conversations I had. Unfortunately, and like you said, I've always liked the guy, but there is a line, and
he's always going to be different. That's just him.
My whole feeling on it was we're always complaining about money and trying to attract bigger sponsors and stuff, and along with those bigger sponsors comes certain things they expect as a sport for us to act, right, professional wise.
Oh, you can be unique. I mean, my gosh, it's I screamed for years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, you can be different, and it's obvious he is not afraid to push the envelope, and it's obvious he is one whale of a fisherman.
Do you think so? If the fines were implemented, do you think fines help deter incidents like that in the future? Were you aware of fines?
It didn't come over in the meeting the way I wanted it to come over, and I don't think everybody missed the point. I didn't communicate what I was trying to say. When I stood up, what I wanted to communicate was I think we as anglers need to help bass to create that standard. That the anglers need to stand up and say as one voice that, we need to make that rules package. I mean, bass can have it.
Sure.
But it needs to be something the anglers
created by us. Sure.
Right. Because we can say, just like a players union, that if a player does A, B, or C, this is the ramifications.
Yep.
And I think that our Fishermen's Association, our group of anglers, need to agree on that.
Yeah. She brought up, she said that any little thing like that pops up, obviously the tournament directors deal with it and with that individual if there's an infraction, but it stays private. Like she was saying in our Thursday email updates, maybe that needs to be vocalized, that needs to be known, that will deter incidents in the future.
I'm a NASCAR fan, and so one thing I look forward to is that Tuesday or Wednesday update of when they've torn the cars down and who did what. I love it.
Who changed the spoiler to get a little more.
I sit on Twitter and wait for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like if that was out more, it would deter people from.
Yeah, the negative side to that is if
the implications from a business side.
Yeah, it could create harm for the angler and sponsors and things of that nature. I got a speeding ticket in New York.
Right.
Okay. Told everybody there. I just messed up. I come around that lighthouse, had a brain fart. I'm still.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, day one. Dude kept me there an hour.
Yeah, he turned himself in
on the water.
That's our rules.
Yeah.
Our rules state.
Alex Bay. That.
They got me way before I ever got to 81.
Dang.
I come behind the lighthouse and there's like a cove, and by the time I seen the I-81 bridge, I started rolling down. I'm like, dang, I got to slow down. And that dude come off behind the deal there at daylight. And I was idle straight
Practice?
No, during tournament. First morning tournament. I just idle straight. I was idle straight too.
That
I just
sucks,
said, I done it.
Oh, that sucks, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have to run me down and after he was such a butt about it, I told him, I said, if I could do it again now, I'd make you chase me forever.
Was he a young guy? Young patrolman? No. Older guy, yeah. That's funny.
And he told me all about having to give Boy Duckett a ticket.
Yeah. Oh, it was the same guy?
Oh, I remember that. Remember when they were waiting for him to
down. Yeah.
Remember they were waiting
Department was there.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. We're looking for a red boat with yellow writing. Who is it? And everyone's like, I think it's Boyd Duckett.
Oh yeah. He told me about having to chase Boyd Duckett.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. It's really. I shouldn't have done it, but it's an easy mistake to make up there.
Yeah.
There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
And but I will tell you this: the city of whatever up there. I sent them a letter, very nice letter, acknowledge that I done it.
Yeah.
But also, I'm concerned about our sport, and I'm concerned about the image of professional fishing.
Right.
And I told Candy, I said, it bothers me. I got a ticket because it doesn't look good for us.
Right.
And you have to, when you're going to get a citation, they don't give you a phone number or not to call. So you got to mail it in, and they're going to send you back what it's going to cost you. So I'm like, they're going to crucify me. I'm going to 68 and a 30. That's like freaking reckless driving. But I told him, I said, I just apologize. It's an honest mistake. Don't hold this against professional fishermen. This is not how we behave, and I'm sorry. And I thanked them for having us up there. I said, we'd love to come up there.
Oh, man.
I get a letter back. All charges are waived.
Wow. Good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You knew what you were doing. You knew that was going to happen. Good move.
Southern charm, man.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But I really did. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
So is there, when you guys get in trouble like that, is there like a set way it's handled, or do you not know it? Like when you told Bass, like, hey, I got popped for speeding, turned yourself in. Did you know they were going to hold you, or is that just...
No, they have to determine what they're going to do. And they were fair with me. They put me back to the back of the line, and I sat for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Penalty box.
I sat in the penalty box.
Yeah.
And I agree. We got some guys that are really fired up about that. But and I agree with Bose. You want to go back to the old days, because I actually fished a couple of invitationals back in the old days. And by God, Dewey Kendricks, if you cranked your boat without your life jacket on, you were going home.
Dang, DQ'd for the Derby.
Instantly.
Wow.
And I agree that there are infractions that there's different levels, okay?
Sure.
But the one thing that I do think with our sport that I'm very stickler about, just like as soon as I walk to the bump tank, as soon as I come to the thing, I found Chris Bose.
Straight up with him.
I said, I got a ticket.
Yeah.
I'll sign on the side. Y'all figure out what you want to do and call me.
Yep. Best policy. Yeah.
And
that's the best policy.
To me, it kind of goes back kind of like that. You want to like golf. It's honoring our sport.
Yeah.
And mistakes happen. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
People forget to buy their fishing license.
Yeah.
Okay? But not calling
Yeah.
and reporting the infraction.
Yeah. The citation that was given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, not calling and reporting that.
Yeah.
If I were the term director, you don't want to know what I would have done.
Yeah.
So, and
Because if I would have got the phone call from law enforcement, you would have gone to the house.
Yeah.
Right there, right now.
so that's my question. So you got held at takeoff. So it affected your tournament to an extent, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
could
I
have.
done it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I had to get some kind of a penalty.
So then say that someone maybe got popped for a ticket, didn't turn themselves in, no
Like I
fishing
said,
license?
I would have DQ'd.
Yeah, so that's my question though. So is it okay to just give fines, or should everything have some sort of tournament ramification?
I think it has to be tournament ramifications.
Should be
I
levels.
agree.
There should be levels.
It should be
right?
levels, but
Yeah.
Levels, but a tournament ramification
Look,
has to be there.
I've forgotten to get fishing license to call in the middle of the day, first day of
Oh,
practice,
yeah.
and get them online.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of crap happens.
Didn't
okay?
that happen to Aaron one time?
Aaron got DQ'd
God rest
in
his
Wheeler.
soul. Yeah. God rest his soul.
Yeah,
Like he
did,
won a
and
tournament.
it was an Alabama.
I thought he won a tournament without a license.
It might
No.
have did. It was at Wheeler's where
He's
it
a hell of
happened.
a fisherman. Yeah.
Yeah,
Was a hell of a
and it was
fisherman.
just a situation. He lived in
Yeah,
Alabama, but he
sure.
had just moved in from
Yeah.
California,
Yeah.
and I don't think he realized that Alabama license go from back
The
then
weird
they went from date of purchase to date of purchase.
The weird. Okay.
It's
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
or
yeah,
like
yeah,
August 31st.
Not the calendar
That's the way
year,
Texas
right?
does it.
Yeah.
Just stops in
It's
like
weird.
August or September.
Well, now
It's weird.
Alabama's does. It's August the 31st, but back then it went from date of purchase to date of purchase, and he probably
That's
just
nice.
got pickled up
Yeah,
on when
yeah.
he bought.
Sure.
Hey, far he was from. You know how many times I've gone fishing in Alabama without a fishing license?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh yeah.
you get to thinking about it a couple days later and go, "Oh crap, my license!"
Yeah.
Because we travel all over the road.
Oh yeah.
But no, I mean, we just have honor about what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, mistakes happen.
Yeah.
And to have a penalty imposed on me, I got no problem with it. I did bad.
Yeah.
And me sitting there for 20 minutes, it's not the end of the world. I shouldn't have been speeding.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with it. But what I'm not cool with is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So then that thing that just happened in that other league, his name will remain unmentioned.
To me, it would have been an automatic 1-year suspension, regardless.
What is this? I've been out under a rock.
It would have been
Info rule type thing.
no.
Was that an info rule?
Yeah, he was getting it. He was reached out to one of the elite guys, I think,
Yeah,
and was asking him to take him out on water. The elite guy.
yeah. That would have been an automatic 1-year suspension.
During the off limits period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang.
And the second, the next infraction, you'd have been barred from the rest of your career.
So what happened? Whatever.
And
happened.
until those kind of rules are enforced that way, we're never going to get any better.
So what happened to the guy?
I think they
Fines?
just took his money back. That he
No,
won.
it's worse than that.
Is it?
Yes.
Like
Good.
Tony Christian worse.
No, but there's some pretty severe ramifications, and but still,
What do sponsors do in that situation when guys get busted for stuff like that?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know how the severity is, but I imagine that if I got caught doing that, it wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everything that we do as professional anglers reflects on our sponsors.
Sure.
We are an arm of our sponsor.
Yeah.
And I imagine there would be, Luke Lawson got popped.
I remember
Bass,
that.
I
Yeah,
remember.
When he
Yeah.
first came over.
Yeah.
Back in
Failed
the
the poly.
Yes, and I don't know what it was all about, so I ain't going to go into it.
Yeah.
I just know that there was supposedly
He was at dinner, right? And,
they were
someone was
supposedly looking
talking.
at the social media or whatever.
Something that I mean, I like Luke. I feel like he didn't really mean whatever happened, but
No,
yeah.
but here's the deal. There's one question, we talked about questions before that I think need to be addressed. We all have to be on social media every night,
Exactly.
okay? And we all see things.
Right.
And I tried to tell, I'll give you an circumstance. Well, we were practicing for a classic at Lake Hartwell, the one that Casey actually won.
Mhm.
And I was camping. I was down there at the state park, halfway down the lake, and James Niggemeyer was halfway down the lake. God love James, but I'm telling you, James worries about everything. He is a warrior. but he's also a stickler for the rules.
Sure.
It's dark. It's cold. We're both getting gas at this only little gas station down there. And a guy comes walking across the parking lot. And he says, boys, y'all catching them? And, nah, dude, it's pretty tough, you know, da-da-da-da. And before either one of us could say a thing, he goes, man, they are eating a gold shad wrap up. James goes into full-on meltdown. And I said, what's wrong? He says, I got to call Trait. I received information. And I said, and? And he looked at me and says, you ain't going to call him? I said, no. I said, there's 2 gold shad wraps tied onto my box.
Yeah.
That I've been throwing.
Yeah.
And I said, now, you might have a problem. He said, what's that? I said, because the way our rules are written, I said, if you never had any intention of throwing a gold shad wrap,
then you can't throw one now.
You're done. I said, you can't act on information. That is the way the rules are. And it's just like on our polygraph tests and stuff. And I've taken them. I got polygraph before. And it needs to be, did you intend?
Yeah, exactly.
It goes down to intention.
Exactly.
Did you intend to gain a competitive advantage?
Right.
Yeah. But if we worry about all that crap, we won't be able to fish.
Right.
Because I hate to tell you this, go ask them boys at NASCAR or the NHRA or professional baseball.
Yep.
You are in a competitive sport, and people are gonna push the envelope.
Yeah.
Yep. Period.
They're gonna run up to that line, and they might tiptoe on the edge.
Yep.
And that's okay. Just don't step over.
Exactly.
Every time.
You can stay in the gray
time.
area. You just can't.
No, you can just try to look. Think about the guy that first came out with the 8-rig, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He plowed people with that thing forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the hush, hush, hush. And then one of Elias's buddies told him about it, and Elias just sets the world on fire.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it totally changed the sport. But, you know, we all got it stopped. And to me, I was not a proponent of the 8-rig. And my thing was, at that time, I felt like it totally eliminated every technique and everything that you could possibly do. Because if they could throw it, if you weren't throwing it,
you get screwed.
You get killed.
Right.
And is that what we want our sport to be? No.
Do you think that this whole forward facing sonar is the same situation?
Yep. Yep. I'm fixing to go do my blog with Dano in a minute. And my blog is going to be titled Looking Forward to the Fall.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now.
You thought about that one, haven't you?
I am 2.5 to 3 years behind the curve for multiple reasons that I don't want to go into.
Wow.
Right.
That I'm behind.
Yeah.
And I've let it be known I'm behind. And I've let it be known that it's got to be adjusted.
Yeah.
I am going to spend the fall trying to make sure, because I'm getting slaughtered by guys.
Yeah.
And I don't knock
the guys with the crick neck.
Yeah, they're doing their job.
Yep.
You can't.
Well, I mean, they embraced the technology.
Right.
They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's made some heroes out of guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it continues. And I don't see it going away. But what I want to know is, because I know some guys that are really good with it at home, and they said they've already gotten to where when you show up and you ping them,
they know.
They know.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I heard that on the St. Lawrence this year, that it was obvious that those fish were getting acclimated to that.
I was talking to a buddy of mine that lives at Champlain last night. We talk 2 or 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking last night that this summer has been the worst summer ever on Champlain.
For fishing wise.
He said that they've been
run
hit
from it.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said they've been hit with it so much. He said since that, you know, we were there, and then the FLW was there this year, and he said all the repeated exposure and everybody talking about it. He said they don't act right.
Wow.
He said
it's amazing.
If you pull up on them now, he said you can come back later and come bomb a cast at them. He said, but you ping them up, they don't like it.
Wow. Interesting.
Because I know it's Tennessee River now. You go try to idle a shell bar like we used to with DI sonar,
yeah,
or whatever. You'll never see fish.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest lesson I learned was in Wahi last week.
Mm-hmm.
I never equated, Wahi's a giant, massive lake, doesn't get no bass pressure, but it never registered in my mind all them walleye guys.
Oh yeah,
and what they've done to
trolling,
us.
idling, pinging,
Constant.
Yep.
It just never dawned on me when I was doing my
a boat's a boat
preparation that those walleyes are in the same place as those smallmouth are a lot of the year.
It's a good point.
And I'm telling you, it's just like Tennessee River. It dawned on me when it was about too late. It's about midway to the third day of practice. I idled up on a place. It was just gorgeous boulders and isolated stuff, and I ain't seen a fish. And I just turned the boat off, and I just let it drift in the wind.
Yep.
Just sit there.
And fish just start showing up.
And all of a sudden, there they are, and I'm like,
crazy.
Oh my God, it's like the Tennessee River
all
over again. So I'm trying to think about, well, where did I see this boulder pile? Where did I see this boulder
Turn
pile?
everything off and drift,
Yeah, but it still got to where I was so far behind
That's
again
weird.
because I'm trying to idle them that it didn't dawn on me they didn't want nothing vertical either.
Nope.
You had to throw to them.
Yep.
I mean,
so weird.
What few I didn't have
So
a good tournament, but the fish that I caught, I had to see them on live to catch them.
Wow.
I think there was a majority of the fish that were caught in that tournament were caught with live scope.
Yeah. Way out there.
Way out.
Yep.
70, 80, 90 feet away from the boat.
Yep.
And it's I guarantee it's from the constant pressure of the walleye guys.
Trolling and idling. Yep.
Trolling and idling.
It is. It is.
Yep. They don't, but it still ain't no different. I mean, my God, and my first flipping stick I purchased was in 1983.
So has it helped you with the fish getting all this offshore pressure? Does it help a guy like you that likes to flip? Like, has it opened that bite up for you? Not as
I'm
many
hearing
people
about
around
this
you?
trend. I'm hearing about this.
Well,
this
it is
go to the
and it
bank
ain't
thing right now.
Because it goes back to scheduling.
Yeah.
If you're going to Lake Hawaii, you can go flip all you want to. You
Yeah,
ain't
catch
true.
anything.
That is true.
No, and
that's true.
The Mississippi River. I don't know if any guys had. I don't think forward fake. There probably might have been a few caught some forward sonar, but these fish were in 2 foot of water.
Yeah.
They were on sand drops.
I think Scott Martin
grass.
was the guy who finished the highest with that. In ditches.
He was probably fishing a depression or something down there at Stoddard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there's scheduling will dictate. What I want to do is I want to see a schedule where you can do both. And I'll let them get out there and fight over it. There'll be about 4 or 5 guys like us running the bank.
Yeah.
Come get you some.
Yeah. You show out, man, every single time with that.
But
you and Bill. Who else? Who would be the third guy? You, Bill.
John Cox is probably
Cox.
the best guy.
Yeah.
Cox, that's right.
Cox.
He lives and dies.
That dude.
He has got to be the most naturally.
He's a battle-born guy too.
Yeah,
he floats high. He floats high. Yep.
Naturally gifted bank beater I've ever seen,
and maybe, simple too.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
3 lures. And that's it.
The worst thing that ever happened to me was fishing FLW. You never believe it. When I showed up at FLW, I was John Cox, and I was very, very good at it. I didn't worry about none of that crap.
Exactly.
But then I fished 7 years of 200 boat tournaments on the schedule we were going to, and they had unlimited practice. You had guys that were showing up for 2 weeks, and by the time the tournament started, all you needed was a spinning rod to sit there at the bank and take off, man.
Right.
And the reason why I say it was the worst thing that happened to me, I got beat in the head so bad on some of them tournaments that I started having to learn how to do this and do that and do that. And
you're talking about because all your shallow fish would get beat up by these 200. Yeah. For 2 weeks, 200 guys, yep.
Yeah, and you finally just learned that you couldn't do that, or you had to do something else. And I kind of, somehow or another over the years, I mean, I'm just as comfortable now in 25 foot of water or 40 foot of water.
Yeah, you're good. You're good out there, yeah.
So, and some days I wake up every morning like, I think I'm going to take every bit of this crap out of my boat, put me a flasher back in it and a GPS and rain on it.
Go back, yeah.
Yeah, but, and I could do that. If we would go back to 100-man, with the 100-man field that we're going to fish, you could literally do that. As long as the schedule will let you do it.
Do you like the 100 guy thing?
I don't mind the 100-man field. I did not vote for it.
No.
And there was multiple reasons. I replied in my survey about it. Is one, do we get more classic spots?
Yep.
And two, what happens to the money?
You're right. Do payouts increase?
You're talking about the
additional entry fees coming in. There's going to be 10 more guys.
Because the payout did not change. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know.
We don't know yet.
But are they going to just pay 3 more places?
Sure.
I know.
It shouldn't. It should stay with the ratio, the
you get
percentage.
a lot more money.
Well, that would put it at 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only, I'd have to do the math, but you're still going to bring in $450,000 more
in entry fees.
Yeah, is all $450,000 going to be paid out?
Yeah,
and that's the reason why I didn't vote for it. I mean, as long as everything stays the same, because I just felt like, why did I want to fish against 100 guys for the same number of classic spots,
right?
Versus 90.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the additional money, and I mean, there's whatever they want to do. I mean, I'm good with it. If the majority of the field wanted to do that,
I wonder what the fans think. I wonder, do the fans want to see 100 guys, or do the fans want to see 60 guys?
I don't think they care, but I think for y'all's sake, the coverage and stuff, it's harder.
That's the big deal.
That was the other benefit.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to add cameras and things like that.
That's a huge deal.
The 75 when after the split in
it was
19,
perfect.
Yeah,
it
75
so awesome,
guys.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, everybody got exposure.
Like
everybody sponsors got exposure.
Dude, y'all's even like the basic things like takeoffs and weigh-ins went so quick. I was like, awesome. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just, and now with what we got going on, there's still a lot of, they still control who gets exemptions and the field size.
Right.
And I'm just going to go and tell you, before it's all said and done, we'll be back to 112. It's done.
You're probably right.
We will.
You're probably right.
We will. Yeah. And the money, there'll be another $500,000 or $1 million in the pot, and they won't pay back.
Yeah.
I just been around too long. I know how the game works.
Yeah.
So I like the ratio where it was.
Yeah.
They had the chance with the vote we took earlier this year to go back to the way we used to qualify, and it would have fixed this whole problem. And I still say we need to go back to that.
Yep. Like Combs was saying at the meeting.
Yeah, because, it's not just that. Even if, regardless of running career average, I don't care. The thing is a first-year guy comes into the Elite Series, he's guaranteed 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's guaranteed 2 years.
2 years, right.
He gets a grace year, right?
Yep.
But under the way it is then, his first year, if with 2 guys now, they're gonna face their 2-year average. He might not be kicked out the first year,
but he has to deal with how good he did.
If he throws up a bad year and he's in 80-something place,
no matter how good his next
year, he ain't
year
gonna get out of it.
Yeah.
Where if they would have went back to the way we always did it, where basically you had your 1 year, you qualified every year. There would be like 68 guys or 70 guys on the old format.
Yep.
Automatically requalified.
Yep.
And then the new guys had their grace year, and there'd be like a window of 8 to 10 guys that would go into an average.
I love that system.
It was
a great
fair.
system.
It makes sense.
Because you could bomb 1 year and survive it.
Yep.
And I don't care who you are. Look at me this year. I'm going to wind up. I finished 68th in the points.
It happens.
Yeah, you're on the chopping block, but your record should indicate, hey, I belong here, and I should stay here.
Well, I asked them, I said, I'll give you pieces of my conversation with when we had some conversations about it. I said, let me ask you this. I said, I've been here since 2009. And I said, you're telling me if I have 2 bad years, like this year, I had stuff happen I don't even want to go into.
No, yeah.
But you tell me I have 2 bad years, I'm gone. I said 10 Bassmaster Classics and $1.5 million in winnings since 2009, and
That's stout, dude.
And I haven't earned my right to be here.
Shouldn't be like that.
I mean,
it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah,
you should get credit for that.
Yeah, I mean that's basically, you do the math, and I basically average $100,000 a year in winnings every year.
How did it get that? I feel like with a snap of a finger, it ended up that way. Did it end up that way in a survey somewhere?
A lot of it.
A poorly worded survey.
We've got such. The way our field's configured right now, it's a lot of youth in there.
Yeah.
That don't quite understand
They
don't
understand the career aspect of it yet. They're just so focused on trying to survive year to
Exactly.
year,
Yeah.
and they can't.
That was brought up at the meeting. Yeah.
They can't see 15 years down the road, and
or 15 years in the past. You know.
No. But it's all going. I think
It'll work out.
it'll be all
Yeah.
Yep, I
right.
agree.
Yeah.
I don't.
There's one thing for certain. Like you look at like a guy like Chase Anderson. I mean, he's like a stand-up dude, and he will look at you in your eyes and tell you, okay, what do we need to do to make this better? Or like, you have an issue, Matt, or you have an issue, Chris, or Trait, you got an issue. Okay, let me try to find the resources to work on that issue. And I think it'll all work out. I really do.
The biggest thing I want to see right now, more Denny. I'm ready. After this, since 19, it's been nothing but turmoil.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah.
every year, because we're trying to find our way.
Yeah.
Right.
The field size has changed.
Yep.
We got, there had to be cuts, because when they formulated the field, I mean, Bass is in a bad spot. You and I were sitting over here not knowing if we made the right move or wrong. I mean,
Exactly.
I was like,
was
we
scary.
bonded. We bonded in 2019.
yeah,
We did.
It's like, man, we're gonna have a job,
Yeah.
And then you keep hearing the other side saying, "Oh, y'all gone. You're gonna go bankrupt."
Yeah.
And I'm like, there ain't no way. Bass has been here for
Okay.
however long, you know, and that brand.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me when we had the first classic after the split. I'm like, nah, boys, y'all have oversold your party. Y'all in trouble.
When all the fans showed out, and then the guys that had left, had zero coverage.
I believe
Crazy.
I believe the words that I heard walking out of Knoxville. This is the last good classic it'll ever be.
Yep.
And little did they know.
Classic is still as strong as ever.
Right, because at the end of the day, we are literally, we're no different than Major League Baseball players. Okay,
Yep.
you look at the annals of all sports. We all are fortunate enough to get to play the game at our time. Okay, and when our time is over, there's going to be more guys come in and play the game.
Yeah.
And when the history books are written, there'll be 3 or 4 guys that are remembered for 75 years.
Right.
But when the dust all settles, we're all just pieces of the puzzle and play the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we're not bigger than the sport.
Exactly.
And Bass is bigger than the sport. Bass is
The
Is
sport.
the sport.
Yeah.
I fished FLW. I watched FLW pay Scott and Suggs $1 million at Lake Ouachita to win Forestwood Cup.
Yeah.
There wasn't. They had a decent crowd the last day because they gave away a brand new Ranger boat. But up until that day, there wasn't 50 people showing.
But they were paying $1 million.
And paying $1 million. I mean, the biggest purse that ever been given in fishing.
Yeah.
I would fish. I would fish an FLW tournament. We'd weigh in the Walmart parking lots, and they might have 30 people in it to come to the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, for whatever reason, it just never took traction. But now, on the flip side of that, I will give them props to this. If it wouldn't have been for them, there's a lot of, you look at some of the guys that are fishing with us now, you look at me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I come from.
Yeah, they built a lot of good anglers.
Well, they gave the anglers the opportunity to fish for real money.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the deal.
Yeah.
Because when I come in, I needed to make real money.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go fish, not saying there's anything bad about the Opens, but you don't go fish the Opens to make a living.
There's no money in it whatsoever.
You fish the Opens with a goal. That goal is to make the Elite
To get
Series.
to the next spot. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the goal.
Yep.
You're wanting to make the Elite Series. And I think the new format that we've got coming with that is, I begged for it for years, because when you got a guy that can fish 3 tournaments in a regional type deal,
In his wheelhouse.
his wheelhouse,
Yep.
then he's apt to make it. And I've seen, since the split, how many we've probably seen, 10 guys or more that come in here that couldn't cut it.
Yep. Because he was good in his region, and then he goes up to New York. He has to fish down in Florida, fishes in Texas, couldn't hang.
Well, he just, he got lucky, and everything, the stars lined up.
Yeah.
And you couldn't. And the other thing was, 3 tournaments, you couldn't have a bad tournament.
Yeah.
So I know of guys right now fishing those opens that are hammers, absolute hammers. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they'd have one bad tournament.
Yeah.
And it'd wreck them.
Yep. Now with 9, you could afford that bad tournament. It's more
now,
like a tour.
now you're fixing the creams, fixing to come to the top.
Yep. You're grooming them for the next step. Yep.
Well,
sounds like there's going to be a payout increase too, Trait. Did you hear that in the opens?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I stay out of that.
Well, that deal, the guys that come from the opens going forward will be very polished. And you watch, they're going to come out of the opens and they're going to kick butt.
They're elite worthy. Yeah.
Which is the
it's
way
more
it
of a
should
vetting.
be.
It's more of a vetting.
You don't
thing,
see people come from the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Who get moved up who can't play.
Yeah. Who had a couple good,
No, you don't
games.
go on a 3-game run and you get to go to the majors.
Yeah.
No, I mean they've proven it over time, but it's there was a lot of pushback on that, but the other flip side
it's
is
a good move.
If you couldn't, I know it's hard on guys that say I've heard the pushback. Well, I can't get 9 weeks off and travel. Well, if you can't do it now, how you going to do it then?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, so if you truly wanted to be an elite series angler, then basically you're committed right now.
Yeah,
you're
put your
committed
toe
to the
in the
opens.
water. Put your toe in the water and just feel it for 9 tournaments.
It'll only cost you $16,000 or whatever it is to fish them 9.
Yep. Plus expenses.
Yeah,
but you're groomed. But when it's all said and done,
so you'll spend
32
$32 to fish them 9. You're gonna fish 80 to fish our 9.
Yeah.
I really don't think they process that.
Well, they're just all living the dream.
Exactly.
They got
That's
careers.
how
They got jobs.
Yeah.
And how many guys actually have a job that truly want to be with us that can get 9 weeks off?
You can't.
10 weeks.
You can't.
I mean, but on the flip side of that, if they could do it, it's just a commitment, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when I jumped in there cold turkey, I mean, it was the most horrifying thing I'd ever done. I walked off and left the job.
Yeah.
It was like, holy crap.
Yeah. Same.
So you just got to decide what you want to do. And unfortunately, only the strong survive.
Yeah. Yep. And you've survived this long.
Don't ask me how.
Yeah.
Scared to death still.
No, you've absolutely crushed it. And I really appreciate you coming on and hanging out. A couple campsites down. You've been an awesome guest here, and definitely, like I said at the start of the podcast here, like I really think you're one of the wisest fishermen that we have out there. You always vocalize your thoughts, and we always know where your head's at. And they call you Grumpy. Like I don't know if you guys know this.
I got a reason.
Do you like that name?
No, not really.
No, but they call him they call him Grumpy. But I don't know. After watching this podcast, I don't know if you can
it's
tell.
Always face looks. I got this blank stare. I always look like I'm mad at the world, and I'm not. I just
you just know what's going on all the time.
Well, I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
and I guess my facial expressions. You think that I'm mad about something, and I'm not. And it just. I tell you what, it's been good for though. You don't see a lot of people want to come in and hope.
No. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's cool, man. Well, we're winding down here. Before we let you go, do you have any words of wisdom or any thoughts or comments to any of the young anglers growing up, or any like life advice overall? I mean, you're a father of 2 and just a stand-up dude. You got any advice for the listeners and viewers?
No, just live your dreams, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if
you did at 38.
Yeah, I mean, if it's what's meant for you to do, good Lord will put you there.
Yep.
And because I actually started. I fished my first Bass Invitational like 93 or 4, and I fished 3. I think I fished 6. You'd have to go back and look for my records. I fished 6 invitations. I got paid in 3 of them, but I learned. Back then it was boat on boat draw, and I was looking at my idols like Clun and Jenny Brower, some of them, and I picked up that they're going to worry about the next job or the next term, and I'm going home trying to work a job. Still to this day, before I forget, the highlight of my career is I fished with Rick Clun in 1995 or so, in tournament competition, head to head, and it was I'll never forget.
Wow,
he didn't talk back then. He just.
Yeah,
that's the one intense do. But no, just live your dreams. Follow your passion, but map it out and have a plan. Because
There you go.
if you try to go haphazard, you're going to lead yourself to some heartache and destruction. And
We've seen it on tour time after time. Take it one step at a time.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a tragedy list a mile long here.
Yep.
But it's the kids now are 10 times better than I was, and they've got me chasing my tail right now with all this new technology because the game's changing, and that's probably what's kept me competitive over the years. You can look at me; I'll be 60 in January, and this fall I'll invest a bunch of time into the new stuff because I feel like that. To me, when I don't feel like I need to learn anymore, I need to get another job.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly playing with everything and anything, and
That's about what Rick Clun said.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, Rick.
That's what I'm saying. Two wisest guys on tour right there, and
Nothing stays the same in the sport.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I got tickled. I was Wes Logan. I was going to tell you who I was talking to. He almost won an invitational here, or an Open when the year he qualified.
Yep.
The year he qualified, he almost won one. And I talked to him after the tournament, and he made some comments, and I said, I'm going to give you a piece of advice, free of charge, something you need to understand. I said, I've been doing this since 2003. I said, I've never gone back to a lake, whether it was the exact same week, month, moon phase, and caught them the same twice.
never happens.
Never happens. You think the guy's got the secret hole and it's just the glory. It never. And the worst thing you can do is to see it on the schedule and think, I got this figured. I know what I'm going to do because you are fixing to take an epic butt whip.
That is great advice.
Every time he circles a tournament,
The worst finish, 80th,
I buckle up 'cause here
80th,
it comes.
70th, 80th, every time.
If you don't go into a tournament open-minded,
Yep.
and when you back your boat in, you look at the water temperature, the
Yep.
water color,
10-day forecast.
10-day forecast, wind forecast,
Yep.
where's the bait,
Yep.
you know, what moon
Water
phase.
level, yep,
I mean,
all that.
if you don't take
Now,
all the variables right now, and you don't apply them, and you may have a general area, you know that there's better quality fish,
Right, a population.
but if you don't
right.
go attack that population of fish with an open mind,
Yep.
if you go in there thinking I caught them flipping that bank
Yep.
on a black and blue jig, you're fixing to take it. It's going to be
bad.
It's going to be bad.
Be real bad.
It's going to be bad.
And not only like it's like the shock, right? You try what what worked in the past, and it doesn't work. Like that right there, the mental freaking beatdown right there. Like, oh my gosh! Like you're like at a 3-day practice period, you're done for like a day and a half. Like, oh my gosh, they're not there. Now what am I going to do? Now you're just like you're behind the 8 ball, and you're trying to catch up. While the fresh guy, the kid that comes to this new lake for the first time, he's like, ooh, the wind's blowing on that bank over there. Let's just go fish this bank with a spinnerbait. And he's catching 15, 16, 17 pounds. And you're over there scratching your head like, why aren't they here again?
The worst thing that happened to you is when you do go fish that bank you caught them on last time, and you get 1 or 2 bites, and you kind of
it leads you along.
Yeah, well, you kind of ease in there, and you get a bite or two, and you get away from it.
Yeah,
thinking that it's
Yeah.
going down.
Thinking
The trick.
oh,
It's a
they're
trick.
here. Yeah,
That happens a lot.
And you don't go through the full. You have to totally.
You got to understand it. You got to understand
the whole
it that
process.
week. That week now. Yeah, you have to.
I hate tournaments.
Yeah.
I hate it. Before we get off here, the Chickamauga tournament this year,
Yeah.
I catch 20 pounds on day 1. I'm in the top 4, 5, 3, whatever.
Yeah,
I was up there. And I'd stumbled on the fish that were pre-spawn that had not moved up. Wow. New cold front was coming. The fish were still on the channel swings out on the river. Staged up. They were like, the flats are here and the bluffs in here, and they're sitting right here. I've been doing this a lot of years, and I'm licking my chops because ain't nobody doing it.
Yeah.
I've got the run of this place. I'm thinking, I'm fixed to finally, I'm going to punish y'all this time.
Yeah.
It got cold, and I refused. When they were gone, I would not go through the process of where did they go.
Right.
Because that's what will happen to you. When you get so dialed in,
You get hard-headed.
there's a fine line between being patient And at that time of year when it's cold, bites happen in the window. And you have to have the patience to wait on that window. But sometimes that window is
there.
you looking
Moved
in
a little bit. The window moved.
That window is a picture of you looking in your coffin that they're fixing to put you in.
Oh man!
And I catch one keeper or something. And I'm
man!
Oh my God! And I'm standing in the weighing line. Everybody's going, "Yeah, man, they showed up. I was throwing a white chatterbait."
Oh no! Gosh, and that goes to show. I mean, you just don't know. You gotta stay on top of it. Open mind.
You have to be open minded, and you have to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
And when you close your mind and you're just content to keep doing the same things, and you're not getting bit, it's the end of it. That is your death.
That right there is wise words. Again, the top of the podcast, I said it. You know what you're talking about, and that's just great advice. Trait, you got anything else?
Nothing.
For Matt?
Nothing.
You've been an awesome guest, dude.
Matt. Sorry we took up all this time.
Yeah, I know you got to run across the RV park here.
Yeah, we got to go do the blog. Y'all check me out. Coming soon at Bassmaster.
Yeah. Also, your Tato poles, man. I ran your Tato poles here this week.
What are
really
Tato
cool?
poles?
Really cool GoPro poles that mount.
We got a camera pole that my sons and I are manufacturing.
That's that hardcore one.
Kill it. There's no shakiness and nothing to it. It's rock solid.
Aluminum 3/4 inch aluminum bar.
Yeah.
When these leagues decided that we were going to run cameras, I had played around with some other products that were on the market and lost a couple of cameras.
Yeah.
And
light sockets, getting loose, all that.
Yeah. Sticky tape, shields and stuff.
Yeah.
I just had a brain fart, I was like, if I'm gonna put that kind of money in cameras and stuff, and I needed it for sponsor stuff, I wanted something that
rock solid.
Was rock solid. And we've got the pole now that goes in the rear seat base or the front seat base. You can do a lot of cool stuff with. Plus, we got mounts that are going on gimbal brackets. Just thought we've got stuff coming. That's what a lot of my fall is going to be dedicated to that, because we've really, Chris has ran one, I've run one. That's probably, I think,
Swindle just praises.
How do you spell it? How do you spell Tato?
TADDO Designs, all one word, DESINGNS.com.
Cool.
But it's just go to boat stuff on the website. But it's Gerald, Brandon's running all my stuff, and every one of y'all has been instrumental, because I've made enough of it and it's been for sale, but we haven't put a real hardcore push on really promoting it and stuff, because
just learning.
And I've always been the type that I'll sell you stuff, but I've never really wanted just to turn it completely wide open loose until I had field tested it and beat it. And this stuff has been beaten now long enough that
kills it.
I'm ready. So.
Well, there you guys go. Check it out. Tato Designs. It's the GoPro mount. And we all know, like we talked about here, content is king. And for all you young anglers out there, record what you're doing, post it, and hopefully that gives you a little leg up on whatever ambitions you have being a professional bass fisherman. I think that's about it. You covered a lot, man. You were a good guest. I really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that one.
Maybe we can hook up next year.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll have a new batch of gossip to talk about.
There's always new gossip, and there's always, we stay in the trailer parks. So
absolutely.
we're all like it. Everybody thinks we live in these big palatial palaces and stuff, and we all live in little tin boxes staying in RV parks. And,
we're fishermen, man.
It wouldn't have it any other way. We're like, it's kind of cool, because you think this one don't like this one, and this one don't like this one, but at the end, when you come in the evenings, we're like a traveling bunch of gypsies, and we're all our own family, so it's cool.
Awesome. Cool. All right, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. See you next time. Thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir.